Hello, everyone. So excited to be here and so many names, and we recognize a few of you. So thank you so much for being here. We thought about maybe waiting a few seconds just to make sure that everyone is here, and then we will start. So super excited, and so want to learn more about what everyone of you are doing. And I know there's so many aspiring entrepreneurs and leaders in here. So super excited about you. So I think actually maybe we will start because now I see that fewer people are dropping in, and I think we're the whole crew. So let's do this. Tinder, that's how our story started. Yes, this is not a joke. So we met during our last semester at Stockholm School of Economics, and we got this business idea, which was Tinder, but for entrepreneur and investor. So I was 21 years old, and Vendela here was 23 years old, and we realized that we wanted to make this idea a reality. So what we then did was first to find a developer, and second to find somewhere to launch this product that we were so excited about. And we found this startup fair in Stockholm where they were going to be both entrepreneur and investors. So we thought this is the perfect place to launch this app. The only problem was that it was only 3 months until this fair was going to take place. But we didn't see this as a problem at all. We were meeting with the organizer of the fair, and they told us that yes, you can exhibit at this fair, but in order to do so, you need to have a product to be able to show. And we thought, yes, no problem. And he told us that if you don't have it, there will actually be like a punishment fee. So we were really working hard these months to make this product a reality. But the day before the fair, we didn't have anything. So we tried to really find a solution, and we managed to find a fast track on App Store. So on the morning of this fair, the app was out on App Store. So we were, of course, excited, and we had contacted a lot of investors and entrepreneurs before this to have on the launch day on the app. And then it was time to finally try it out when it was live. And the app was a disaster. It was on the level where if you were gonna load up a picture for a profile, it wasn't even possible. You had to take the picture live because there was some kind of bugs. So the app, I must now honestly say, looking back, was far from perfect. But the good thing about this process was that we have been talking to a lot of potential customers during the way. And that is something we've really learned, that if you always are in contact with your customers, you will develop things in the right direction. So we were, of course, gathering a lot of feedback, and we realized that the timing of this might not been right. There was the rise of Tinder, there was the rise of Snapchat at the same time, but it wasn't the right timing for the investor market for an app like this, as we realized once we got the feedback. So we started to think differently. We were thinking about changing to a web platform instead, but we were struggling a little bit with the technology part of it. So that's when we realized that we had good contact with the investors, we had good contact with the startups. So why not just start to matchmake them? And that's how we started. We were very unexperienced, but we were learning by doing. So that's when we closed our first deal and helped with the first fundraising for this boutique investment bank for tech startups. And it grew, and we have now helped over 40 startups with fundraising through an international network of investors. But once we started working with this, we saw how the tech industry looks like, how the founders and leaders and investors, and we asked ourselves, where are all the women? Because we saw that there were so many men than women starting companies, and also was in the leadership roles of these companies. So we thought that we wanted to do something about this. So this led to that we started an Instagram account that we named Business and Dreams, with a mission to empower women in business and empower women in entrepreneurship as well. That was really our why with starting this account. And we started to engage more in the topic of gender equality. For instance, we also started a small incubator for women with business ideas that we could help to validate in an incubator program called Qalora Growth. And then dear business partner, Erik Blad, could continue run the company we have founded. And we decided to really follow this passion and why we had discovered and take the next step with Business and Dreams. So in the middle of the pandemic, that's when we started a members club for women for both personal development and career development. And we decided to focus on two parts. One, community, a place where you can really connect with other people and get this sense of belonging, finding role models, and also, of course, co-founders and potential business partners. And the second aspect that we really wanted to bring here was the educational platform. So to have regular webinars that was recorded, and so you can get access to so much educational content of the topics such as entrepreneurship, negotiation, money mindset, and so much more. So that's what we launched about 1 year ago. And it has now grown. So we have over 700 members in countries all over the world. It's now about 17 plus countries. And we also had meetups in cities such as Oslo, Copenhagen, and Dublin. And one obstacle we saw for women that they weren't starting as many companies, but that they were raised to become good girls. And they were raised to not making any mistakes and and that is something that's so crucial when starting a business, to try different things to realize the vision of your companies. Just like we did, we had to change the idea, we had to change the business model as well when we started our first company. And then you find this right partner, or as I started this conversation about Tinder, you find the love of your life when it comes to your company as well. You have to kind of try what works best for you. So that is something that we really want to inspire other people to do, to have this growth mindset where you can make mistakes, but that's the way you really learn and grow. So that is why I did the TED Talk about being a good girl as well. And this is where we are now, very passionate about empowering women. And we're very happy that we also got announced Forbes 30 Under 30 this year for this work that we do.
Yes, and I really recommend Camilla's TED Talk. You have to see it if you haven't. It's really inspiring. And today we also want to give you some advice. We want to share some insights after meeting so many entrepreneurs about some pattern recognition. We have seen some qualities that we think are really unique for the successful entrepreneurs that really in it for the long run. And we are both very passionate about personal development. It's a very big passion of ours, and how you can combine it with career. So we want to share 4 characteristics and also some tools that you can use to implement in your own journey. First of all, it's very important that you're very aware of your time. Successful entrepreneurs that we have met, they're quite ruthless actually about their time. And it's interesting. We have both heard that, time is more valuable than money, because you can't get time back and you can't earn money back. But still, if someone would ask you, hey, can you give me $100? Many of us would say no. We would be kind of suspicious and be like, this is a crazy person. But if someone would schedule a meeting that we have no role within, that we would just basically waste an hour of our time, many of us would, out of politeness, say yes to that. So being aware of what you spend your time with is so important, because even though you feel nice, there are endless of things that we could put our time in, and it's really up to us to evaluate where our time is the most useful. So really good method to actually evaluate where your time is the most valuable is to use a matrix called the Eisenhower matrix. And there are 2 factors in that. So it's important and it's urgent. So what you should focus on is the important tasks. So they can be both important urgent and important not urgent. And an example in the first case could be, for example, finishing a client project. It's very important that it's on time, and it's really important that it's a good one. And important and not urgent, they're actually sometimes not as funny, because it could be like big workshops and strategy planning. But it's very important, because if you don't do it today, it can be or probably will be important in the future when your customers are not happy, when your brand is not strong enough, and when your employees are not happy, want to leave. So it's really important to schedule those like big workshops, for example. On the other side, what you shouldn't focus on is what's not important. So it could be that it's not important but urgent. And these tasks are very tempting. It could be like emails that you want to respond to. And that could consume your whole day if you're not aware of it, like answering emails or writing a blog post or something. It's urgent, but it's still not worthy of your time. There are endless of things as you could do, as we said, but you have to focus. So these tasks, the not important, urgent, you have to either automate them or delegate them. And lastly, what's also very tempting, but we shouldn't do, is the not important and not urgent task. And that could be, for example, scrolling on social media. We tell ourselves we will get some inspiration or whatever, but it's always draining, and that's not useful at all.
Except if you look at business and dreams.
True, you can scroll that as much as you want.
That's what you can do.
Yes, exactly. Very an exception that proves the rule.
Exactly.
So try to be aware of that. And a good way is also to do a time budget. Many of us have heard about a money budget, a financial budget, but a time budget is not as common. So try, for example, every hour, every half an hour, if you want to, that you write down what you're actually doing and compare it to an ideal scenario and see if that matches, and you can take one step forward to approach that ideal scenario. And the next aspect is to have a growth mindset. I don't know if you have heard about it. It's kind of a popular concept. It was conceptualized by a professor called Carol Dweck, and she has written a book with the same name. And she differentiated between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. And a growth mindset is basically, I can do anything if I put my time and effort and energy in it. A fixed mindset, on the other hand, is I'm either good or I'm bad at something, and I can't improve, basically. So what's dangerous with a fixed mindset is that you don't want to take on challenges. Maybe you don't want to do a TED Talk because you're afraid that, oh, maybe I'm not a good speaker, so I won't even do that. So it's very important to be aware what kind of mindset you have. And actually, awareness is just a great first step, because then you can say to yourself, okay, this is the fixed mindset Vendela speaking. I can change to another mindset. So try to be aware of that. It's really, really good. And as an entrepreneur, we are doing 1,000 new things. There's so many new things happening to us. And it's important to know that you can become an expert in whatever you want to. So that was the second one. And the third one is to be really aware of your mental and physical health. And this is one of our biggest passions, to really advise you all that this should be your first priority. And of course, some periods, maybe you're working late, some hours, some days, maybe some weeks sometimes. But in the long run, try to make sure that you sleep, that you eat well, that you exercise, and that you, for example, meditate and really take care of your mental health as well, which is equally important. And maybe it feels like distant to start exercising 3 times a week. But if it does, start small. Start with just like doing push-ups 1 minute a day or something else, just to create the habit. And then you get motivated and you will want to continue. So that should be the number 1 priority, and everything else actually is secondary. So that is our third advice. Lastly, our fourth advice is to be something called a giver. So there's actually another professor, we love referring to professors here. So it's a professor called Adam Grant. He has written a book also. It's called Give and Take. And he has seen 3 types of personalities in workplaces. So these are givers, takers, and matchers. So maybe you can hear on these names what they refer to, but I will explain. So a giver is someone who gives and they don't expect anything back. A taker, on the other hand, is the opposite. They take, but they don't plan to give anything back. And the last category is a matcher, and that's actually the majority of us. We give something, and low-key, we expect sooner or later to get something back, and if we don't, we get a little bit mad. So that is the majority. So I want you all to think about which category, which personality do you think is the most successful? Because this surprised us as well. I will tell you now. So the least and most successful is the givers. And how does this correlate? So they were least successful in the short run because, of course, they were giving away all the resources while the takers were just taking the resources. So it's created an imbalance there. But in the long run, they become so liked so that people wanted to start give back to the givers. So they get so much back from it. So really think about what kind of personality are you, and maybe it's different in different situations. And a giver doesn't mean that you have to give away all your 100% of your salary every month. Really the opposite. It could be as simple as, introducing two people to each other, or maybe following and commenting on your friend's social media post. He or she maybe launched a company. It could be simple things that really shows that you're a giver and want to support others. And to make this a little bit more complicated, Adam Grant also did two subcategories to this giver category. So they are called, what he said, selfless givers and otherish givers. So a selfless giver is someone who just gives, and they don't think about their own mental and physical health, for example. While on the other hand, otherish giver is someone who gives a lot, equally much, but they also prioritize feeling the best themselves. So, they're both doing great things for the world, but the problem is that the first category, the selfless giver, he or she will just give, and eventually they risk a burnout because they give so much without, getting energy back. While the other category will be really successful in the long run. So an advice here is to do an energy budget. We love all this kind of budget, and also money budget, but there's so many different kinds of budget you can do. So time budget and now energy budget. So an energy budget, there you state what drains you of energy and what gives you energy. And it's really simple in theory, but try to, stop doing the things that really drains you of energy and schedule the things that give you a lot of energy. Because we're all, human beings, biological creatures. We need rest, we need recovery. So it's really crucial that you plan it. So lastly, that is all the four categories. I don't have a fifth one, I'm sorry. So there are the four ones. And we are really passionate, as I said, about personal development. And my advice for you here today is to really think about the position, the unique and privileged position that you have as founders. Because as a founder, for me, one of the most exciting things is that you can really create, your dream company now. We have seen terrible bosses, we have seen great bosses, and now you can choose what kind of boss you want to be and how do you want to treat the people you work with. And you can actually choose who you work with, which is also great. So really think about that privilege because it is amazing.
And we have a favorite book on this topic as well, on building a culture from Ben Horowitz.
Yes, exactly. What you do is who you are. That is really one of our favorite books. And it's important that you, for example, decide your values in a company. With Uber, for example, they had great values, but maybe they prioritize growth and didn't think about other things such as integrity. That's why it didn't go as well as they hoped for. So that is a really good book advice. We're giving 3 book advice today. That's good. And yeah, also for all the female entrepreneurs and leaders in here, we would love to connect with you. If you want to join Business and Dreams membership club, that would be amazing. So if you're interested, you can just DM us or send us an email, Camilla@businessanddreams.com, and we will give you an offer you simply can't refuse. And also, men or women, please connect with us. We would love to support and follow your journey. So please, same thing here. Send us a DM or an email, and we'd love to connect.
And love to connect on LinkedIn as well. So if you have any question afterwards, either about fundraising or about anything else, entrepreneurship, questions, we love to discuss with like-minded people like here at UPPSTART. So we would love to network with all of you.
Yes, and as we said, we love books. So if you have any book recommendations, please tell us that as well. That's one other thing to connect about.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this, and have an amazing Friday and weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor to speak here. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.